If you don't have a proper routine, what happens is your body is not in line with the circadian rhythm. Yeah, I don't know if you have heard about circadian rhythm. There's so many research out there these days that's talking about circadian rhythm. That falls under the Vata dosha. Okay. Then comes the Pitta dosha, which is, you can say, fire element. For example, lunchtime, have a biggest meal. Okay. Why? Because you're more active, the sun is up, you can digest it well. Shilajit, another example. Yeah. It is really good. Shilajit has got good trace minerals, and it has got fulvic acid. So it is good in a way. Yes, it does help with increasing the testosterone levels and so on. But what are the side effects? You need to know about that as well. Swastha, Atma, Indriya, Manaha.
Today's guest is Dr. Rani Samant. She is a qualified Ayurvedic doctor who completed her Ayurveda medical training in India, and she also holds a master's in nuclear medicine from Monash University. She worked in a major Australian hospital, combining modern medical science with ancient Ayurvedic wisdom. Dr. Rani is the founder of Ayurvedian Healthcare in Melbourne and co-founder of Holy Sanity. She believes true healthcare isn't about choosing one system over another. It's about integration. Today we are talking about Ayurveda, not as a trend, but as a timeless approach to health. Thank you so much, Dr. Rani.
Thank you so much, and namaste. Thanks a lot for having me on the show.
So we start with something very, very basic. I just want to know, because Ayurveda, I've heard about it being Indian, but it's still new to me. Most I did in Ayurveda is, I think I said before we started, that drank detox teas. Now, what exactly Ayurveda is?
Okay, it's a very good question. What is Ayurveda? Because firstly, you should know what is Ayurveda before you follow any trends. Yeah, Ayurveda literally meaning it's Ayu, life, Ved, knowledge. It's a knowledge of life. You can say science of life. Okay, so Ayurveda's approach is a very holistic approach. When we say holistic approach, what does that mean? Is it's integrative approach.
Yep.
Yeah. It's lifestyle, it's diet, it's herbs, and therapies. So it's integrating all aspects and all modalities that is available to prevent disease. Right. So that's what Ayurveda is. So what I feel it includes everything in that one word: knowledge of life and prevention of health, protect, and cure of disease. It's all Ayurveda.
Do you know, if you ask any strangers about Ayurveda, particularly in non-South Asian background, you get very weird answers, because I have been asking people just to understand what are their knowledge about Ayurveda. It's oil pulling that comes out, or turmeric warm water, or turmeric latte, or a coconut oil bath. And sometimes it's very funny because they've got no idea, but they just start understanding. They know. I drink, even I think similar to it. I drink detox tea, and I think I'm doing very good Ayurveda because it's working, detoxing my body. But we know it's not. So the second question is, as you said, Ayurveda, what exactly it is? It works something to do with your internal body.
Yes, your internal body, your environment as well. So it's not just internal body, I would say. I would like to just correct that. It is everything. Yeah, it's the consciousness. Okay, it's your physiology, it's your mental health, it's your spiritual health, it's your environmental health, it's whatever around you that you are connecting. That is Ayurveda, and that's why it is called science of life, or I like to say knowledge of life.
So what is the difference? Because whenever I go to our Ayurvedic doctor as well, they have a different internal body system, and it's like, no, if you don't if you're not a vata or a pitta,
Yeah.
which I don't know exactly what does that mean, which you'll explain,
Yes.
you can't have that, or that particular food you can't have it. What are those three? Is it a dosha?
Yes, it is called dosha.
And
yes.
how do you define each person? Like, if I want to know, how do I know?
Okay, that's a very good question as well. And that is where this 3 body type analysis comes into play. Okay. So, from Ayurvedic perspective, every individual has got certain characteristics. Okay, those characteristics are physiological characteristics, your physical characteristics, as well as your mental health characteristics. Okay, so how do you define whose personality is what? Okay, from the Ayurvedic perspective, it is already defined at the time of your birth. It's your genetic coding, you can say. Okay, it is your genes that is how you are born with. So you can say, okay, this person has got certain physiological characteristics, similar to, like, you can say genetical science, right? That your code is there, that how your height is going to be, how your body personality is going to be. Are you going to be slim? Are you going to be medium body size? Or you are going to be like a really good structured body, like healthy and that kind of thing. So there are these 3 body structure that mainly we go into. One is very slender or thin, one is medium body type, one is little bit oversized. Yeah. So the thin, we say, okay, that's more so in a vata body type, because it's predominantly governed by one of the principles that we call biohumor, which is air and space. Yeah. So think about 5 elements. Yeah. So air, space, water, fire, and earth. Yeah. So when some of these elements, like when a couple of these elements combine together, that's where these doshas then come into play. Yeah. So air and space, we say vata. So what are the qualities of air? Think about, it's moving, it's dry. Yeah. So we link to that your body type. Yeah. So somebody who has got vata biohumor, which is governed mainly by that dosha, I would say, their body type is little bit slender. They're very active and very much creative, because their nervous system is like super creative and so on. But the downside of it is, when this is out of balance, when we say dosha is out of balance, then you think about what are the qualities of air. Dryness. So those people tend to have those kind of ailments which are very close to that property, which is dryness. So those people suffer from dry skin, eczema, or irregular routine, and so on. So does that make sense?
My son is very lean and he's got eczema.
Yeah. So that falls under the vata dosha. Okay. Then comes the pitta dosha, which is you can say fire element. Okay. So those body types are medium body type. Their skin color would be like reddish and yellowish tinge and reddish and so on. So that's the pitta dosha. Their metabolism is amazing. They can eat anything, digest, and still they are still hungry.
Can you create the fire dosha? I want that. I want that.
And they are also they're very active, but in a different way. I would say they're more goal oriented. Yeah. Everything they want is black and white. They're like that. Yeah. So you can think about the fire quality, straight like that. That's what pitta dosha is when you think about the mental characteristic, right? And in terms of hunger, they cannot tolerate hunger. So if you have a friend, if you have a friend and they get snappy when they're hungry, they are pitta dosha.
I'm finding out my family here. My husband is the same one.
Yeah.
Black and white, can't tolerate the hunger.
Yes.
Digest the food like that.
Yep. So that he is probably a pitta dosha. Yeah.
Pitta.
And then what do they suffer? Like in terms of health condition, I would say they would probably have, acidity problems, acidity issue, heartburn, those kind of thing. Plus, their hair fall, their hair starts to get gray very quickly at the very younger age, and so on. So that's kind of ailments that they would suffer at the very early age. So you would say, okay, that's probably a Pitta body type. Kapha body type is those who have got stronger bones and big, like strong muscles and big bodies. That's where Kapha body. So no matter whatever trend that you follow, losing weight and so on, they still put on weight after some time very easily. And I get clients saying that I eat very simple and I eat very small amounts, still I put on weight. And that's where that the Kapha body type fall in. In terms of their mental characteristic, they are very good friends, they're very kind, they are very, because their nature is such that they take everything slow and simple, and they're really good to be friends with. They're very kind.
It's so deep, and there's so many things you can take it out. It's not just the food.
Yeah.
So like now I'm obviously getting to know is Ayurveda is not just about the food. It's like so much more that you are.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where when we recommend diet, we recommend based on the body type. Yeah. And what is out of balance as well. So you also need to think about the weather, the environment, and so on. And that's where we recommend.
So when you talk about the food, obviously I have another question. What do you have to say about calories that we recommend as a trainer?
Yeah.
That you need to calorie control. So you are in a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight. And you have to have certain amount of protein to be able to maintain that muscle mass. What does Ayurveda say about this, that calorie deficit, and then how does those personality affect there?
Okay. To be very honest, in Ayurveda, there is no such concept as calorie deficit and high protein or anything. It's more individual or personalized approach. Yeah. So there's no one rule for everybody. Yes, protein is important. Ayurveda also talks about in a different language, I would say, that protein is important. When I say that, they would talk about more certain grains and certain type of dals that we have, lentils, nuts. So that is there. But at the same time, we take into the consideration what is your body type. And based on that, we also recommend, yes, you do need protein, but what is a good protein, and where can you get a good source of protein? So it's all about the quality as well as your body type. So there is that concept there in terms of what is good for this person.
So what is one
particularly
principle for Ayurveda when it comes to weight loss?
Okay, one principle is, I would say, routine. Very important. And if you want me to talk deeper about it, then I can explain a little bit. If you don't have a proper routine, what happens is your body is not in line with the circadian rhythm. I don't know if you have heard about circadian rhythm. There's so many research out there these days that's talking about circadian rhythm. Right? You wake up at certain time, your body physiology has got certain certain things to do at that time, and it does it optimally at that time, and that is what the circadian rhythm is. If you are in line with the nature cycle, your physiology would be doing the right thing at that time. So for example, lunchtime, have a biggest meal. Okay. Why? Because you're more active, the sun is up, you can digest it well. Nighttime, have a smaller meal. Dinner time, have a smaller meal. So what that means is, when you are winding down, you are in a bed, you're not so active, if you have had a smaller meal, it is easy to digest. Right? But if you have had a big meal and you go to bed, it's not going to get digested. Next morning you wake up groggy, it's still there's still this bloating that's happening, it's still getting digested, and then you have another meal, so it's going to just sit there and create all those other toxins in the body. That's why circadian rhythm is good, because you follow certain routine, Okay, you wake up at certain time, you have certain food, certain quantity. So this principle is important.
Yeah.
Follow your circadian rhythm. Simple. If everybody, no matter what, like whatever your body type, if you follow the circadian rhythm, you will be on a good, healthy journey.
That's good to know. Obviously, I'll talk about that again in not next the other question, because I want to bring another element. How different is Ayurveda than to a modern medicine now that we are using, like allopathy or herbal medicine like a Chinese medicine? How different it is?
Okay. Very good question again. I mean, it is different in a way. Every modality has its own space and it is needed. Allopathy is needed, definitely. When emergency medicine, certain conditions, definitely we need allopathic medicine. Ayurveda says that whenever you need certain pathy, you need to use that pathy. It's not different. I wouldn't say that it is different than modern medicine. And allopathic medicine also has got certain elements where they recommend nutritionists, they recommend go to physiotherapist, go to chiropractor, and so on. Similarly, Ayurveda is a science, as I said it in the very beginning, it is the holistic science. So it includes everything there. But the approach is such that prevention is the approach, and that is the focus of Ayurveda. Like if I have to say, like in one of our scriptures, Ayurvedic scriptures, first thing in Sanskrit it is said, swasthasya swasthya rakshanam. What that means is, first look after the healthy person and look after the prevention part. Then you look into curing of the diseases. If you don't think about the prevention, then how are you going to, cure the disease? So prevention is the best way. So first, prevention. So if I have to say, Ayurveda is very big on prevention.
Okay. So when it comes to prevention, obviously, modern medicine, so it's basically, according to you, it's an integration of the medicine together as a prevention, or if you need it later on, you can use both.
Yes.
So why do you think we are still on rise if we are following Ayurveda and modern medicine together, still on a rise of weight loss, PCOS, hormonal disorder, metabolic health? We are still on a rise.
Yes.
And you think if we are following that Ayurveda as well as modern medicine and other circadian rhythm, as you said before, which obviously I follow it as well, or other healthy routine, do you think we can prevent all this disease?
Yes, we can. Absolutely, we can. It's about the education. So it's in our health system. I think education is something that is very important. When I say education, it's health education, about making more and more people aware about their health, about the prevention, about their diet, the lifestyle. The more that happens along with these other pathies, I think that's where we can prevent.
We can prevent it.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the food recommendation when it comes to Ayurveda? What do you recommend? Like I keep hearing about Satvik Bhojan, like it means it's called a simple food. What does that mean?
Okay. Very good question again. There are 3 types of I can say characteristic. One is sattvic, one is rajasic, one is tamasic. Okay. So you asked about sattvic. What is sattva? Sattva meaning pure. The word sattva is pure. The meaning itself is pure. Now, if I have to relate that or integrate it from the modern medicine perspective or the nutrition perspective, we are all big on ecosystem, the good ecosystem, basically nurturing the earth and so on. So it's the same principle. Like you eat which is freshly grown, you eat which is grown in your own country, in your own backyard. That is sattvic. Okay. And also freshly cooked meal. That is sattvic. So that's sattva, that is that pure purity in your food. That is what it matters. We also use the terminology prana. It's such a beautiful word, and this is why I love Ayurveda and Sanskrit language that is used in there. Sanskrit is a traditional language, very, very traditional language, which formed the basis of many Indo-European languages, I would say. So prana means life force. So something that has got that life force. So think about what would have life force. Freshly cooked meal, that has life force. So
that's what we call as a soul food.
Yes, the soul food. And that is sattvic food.
Yeah.
So Ayurveda is also big on that you use the sattvic meal. What that means is it's freshly cooked. It's you eat within 2 hours of cooking and so on. So that's pretty much basic. That someone would to know to begin with. Yeah.
And what are the other two you said?
The rajasic and tamasic.
Because we never hear that. I've never heard of it. As soon as it comes to Ayurveda, it's just correlate to sattvic food. For some reason, those two words I've never heard.
Yeah.
And why is that? And what are those?
Okay. Now, again, it's the characteristics of the food which is going to bring in that consciousness in your own physiology and your mental health, right? Think about when you eat fresh, when you are cooking meal with that sattva, with purity, with prana, you're bringing in all that consciousness, because this is where the consciousness of the cook comes in, right? Okay. So then that food becomes so much sattvic that when you eat it, you feel energetic, right? You feel, even if you have had big meal, you still feel that I have a lot of energy, and even the thoughts that come in your mind, they are pure. Yeah, they're not stressful thoughts, right? So that's how we go big on consciousness, right? When it is a rajasic food, let's think about like a food that is sitting there for maybe 6 hours, then you put it in the microwave and then you are going to have it. There's no life force in it. There's still be nutritional value in there, but at the same time, all that sattva we talked about, the consciousness of the cook and so on, that's not there. Yeah, it is still going to make you live, but you'll still have these kind of thoughts and the stress, and you will still feel, oh, I had that meal and now it is making me tired, like I'm feeling so tired, or I'm feeling so stressed. And sometimes you also feel that I didn't get that energy and I need some other snack, and you go on snacking and so on. So that is all rajasic, I would say. Yeah. Or you are eating while you are watching the TV. That's a rajasic quality as well that you are bringing in. Yeah. So these are the principles that you think about when you're thinking about that quality. Now, what is tamasic? Yeah. Tamasic is like, I would go more into detail, like you're angry. Yeah. And some food, when you eat, you do feel that it's very heavy, it's very spicy, and particularly I would say when you eat non-vegetarian, right? It's heavy on the gut. It sits there for a certain period of time. It doesn't get digested as well as vegetarian food. So there are certain rules that we apply when we recommend non-vegetarian food, but that falls under the tamasic food, because it is a tamo guna, meaning quality is tama, meaning darker side. So that's the food, heavier as well. So that is a tamasic food. And what are the qualities that are going to bring in your mentality is more anger, more stress, and so this is what Ayurveda does. It goes more into this subtle and yet deeper qualities.
It makes sense when you're saying that. Like, obviously you hear many people saying certain things that do this, but you got to follow everything to be able to understand and bring the best health benefit out of it. Like circadian rhythm, you say, amazing. The kind of a food you eat, freshly cooked food, the way you eat according to your body type, that's when that actually the prevention happens.
Yes.
Not just following one thing. That obviously leads to my next question. Because Ayurveda is such a trending at the moment.
Yeah.
What do you have to say? Because people follow certain things taking up from social media.
Yes.
And then follow it. It's like, oh, it's going to work for me.
Yeah.
Or it's an anti-inflammatory according to Ayurveda. I need to follow it. I'm going to lose weight. Or I'm going to follow it. It's good for my health. And as I just said before, you mentioned that how it works all together to be able to prevent the way we want to prevent.
Yes.
So what do you have to say about trend?
Trains are good, it entertains you.
So true.
Yeah. So, that keeps your mind going. So, which is all good and fun, I would say. But at the same time, when it comes to health, be serious about it. Don't follow the trends. Go to the professionals. Your medical doctors are there. Go to them, ask them. If you're following Ayurvedic trends, go to Ayurvedic doctors, ask them properly, because they are trained in that and they can guide you well.
I really want to ask you about this particular supplement because I'm in fitness industry and it's everywhere and people are just taking it left and right without having to know exactly what it does. Maybe it's helping, maybe not. You are the right person to ask. Shilajit and Ashwagandha.
Okay.
So many bodybuilders taking it.
Okay. Yep.
And for various reasons, as a pre-workout, to boost to that testosterone.
Yep.
Oh, my pronunciation. So they are.
That's okay.
They are taking it. I want you to tell me, is it true? Is it really helpful?
Okay, that's a very good question. Okay. As I always say, everything is not for everybody.
Yep.
Don't try things just because if it says it's natural, it's Ayurvedic, or it's herbal. Even I'm an Ayurvedic doctor. I tell people always go and find the right professional. Just because ashwagandha is trending, it might not be good for somebody who is pregnant, or someone like for children, or someone who has got something like an hormonal imbalance and so on. So it is important that you first check whether it is right for you. Shilajit, another example. Yeah, it is really good. Shilajit has got good trace minerals, and it has got fulvic acid. So it is good in a way. Yes, it does help with increasing the testosterone levels and so on. But what are the side effects? You need to know about that as well. We always focus on this is good, this is trending, but you always need to find out what are the side effects. Do you really need those high testosterone?
Yes, exactly. That's okay. Look, I only know because I know so many bodybuilders do take it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's working for them.
Yes.
Maybe it's working against them.
Mm-hmm.
But just because their coach has recommended it, they're taking it. Probably they've got no idea.
Yes.
The benefit of Ayurveda behind that.
Yes.
Who should take it? Why are you taking it?
Yeah,
You just take
absolutely.
it because someone told you.
Yes.
Have you made a research? No.
Yes, that's correct. I always say go and find the right professional and then take it. Yeah, just don't take it just because it is trending, it is natural, or it is herbal. It is important that you check it with the professionals.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this is a very simple question. If you want to advise someone, like an everyday person who are very busy, not knowing much about Ayurveda, and if they want to start something that I want to have that lifestyle, what do they follow, which is something very basic according to Ayurveda?
Very basic is go to bed
On time.
on time without taking your phone or iPad, or without being on social media. That's very, very basic. If you do that, you would be really having a good night's sleep. You wake up happy, your nervous system is relaxed, and then you have a good day. So that brings you into good circadian rhythm.
No, I think sleeping early is something I always recommend, but it's just very addictive habit to have phone just before the bed. Even I do it. I'll do it before that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like last minute message and last minute email check, or last minute just hit of a dopamine just to the Instagram, which is very bad.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think it's a very good reminder.
Yeah,
for
I can say do two things, not one thing.
Yeah.
Go to bed without phone. When you wake up, don't check your emails. There are two things if you do it. See, these are the times where your nervous system need break.
Yeah.
Okay. We see so many, mental health issues and so on in our clinical studies and in our clinics, that the cause of these days is that. Yeah, going to bed with your phone and then checking your emails, this and that. And when you wake up, you do the same thing. Yeah. this is the time, like I would say, in Ayurveda, there is a concept in Vedic science, Brahma Muhurta.
Brahma Muhurta, yeah.
Yeah. So waking up before the sunrise. Yeah. Why it is important when you think about the scientific reason is that's the time where your, alpha, theta waves of your brain are, active. Okay, and that is a time when you can do certain practices such as pranayama, breathing exercises and meditation, because then you set that intention in a day. Okay, you then start to manifest health, your health, abundance, wealth, because you are following certain routine. So there is a science behind it. So there are two things I would say from this, that if you go to bed without your phone, when you wake up, don't check your emails.
No, I agree completely. Waking up early has completely changed my life.
Yeah.
The day I started that till I think few years now, I'm just following that routine. I think it works miraculously. And as you said, manifest, it does manifest a good life, everything that you want.
Yes.
But follow that routine intentionally.
Yeah.
Now, last question we talk about in this show, because the show name is Balance Talk Show.
Yeah.
According to Ayurveda, what truly the balance of life means?
The balance of life.
Yes.
Okay. Balance of life is, if I have to say the definition,
yes,
according to Ayurveda, is swastha atma indriya manaha. Yeah. So your soul, atma, swasthya, meaning yourself, established within yourself, manaha, meaning your mind. Yeah.
Okay.
So when your mind and your body and your environment is balanced all together, that's the concept of balance in Ayurveda.
Wow, I really like that. I really like that. It is something like a general rule, even if we follow in everyday life, without following everything. That just falls into, I think everything that you just said just comes under that, whatever the whole mantra you just said.
Yep.
Repeat that again for me, please.
Swastha atma indriya manaha.
Okay, we're going to follow that.
Yeah, your senses, your mind, your soul, environment around you, when it is in line together and when it is balanced together, that's your, healthy body.
We see so many people are doing meditation nowadays, and I know it's very helpful. Do you know there are so many type of meditation? And if it is, what are they? And how it affects the body and mind once it's done?
Okay. Yeah, very good question. And yes, I agree with you. There are so many meditation out there in today's world, and it's very confusing. And we do get to see people like asking us, and I do this type of meditation, and I wake up, I do pranayama, I do breathing exercises. So sometimes it's very confusing when a lot of information is out there, but you don't have a proper guidance.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now, I'm a medical scientist as well. So what I see is what are the studies out there that are available and what really works, right? Integrating Vedic knowledge with science. That's how we practice at our clinic. Yeah. What I've seen, transcendental meditation. Like I've read so many, research articles on it. There is about 700 studies that are done all across, I would say, in 25 countries. And so that is one type of meditation, I would say. It's standardized and very simple.
Yeah.
The founder of Transcendental Meditation is Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He was also a teacher to Beatles, you can say. So many, I've seen even celebrities have learned that meditation, including Katy Perry, Hugh Jackman, Tom Hanks, and so on. So there's a list of those celebrities who have done it, as well as there are so many other, I would say, scientists, specialists, cardiologists. They are using this meditation in practice. Just recently, it was approved by American Heart Association as well as one of the top meditation, which really works. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Again, the reason being it's standardized. It's a very simple technique that anybody can bring into their practice twice daily, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. Now, your question was what it does to your body and what it does to your brain, right? Now, what meditation does, and particularly transcendental meditation, is it reduces the cortisol levels, firstly, in your body. When you are into that deeper level of relaxation, obviously the cortisol levels are going to drop. Yeah. So that's a physiological effect, I would say, reduction in stress levels. Okay. When we talk about the brain activities, it's like alpha waves. Like there are different waves that your brain creates at certain time of the day or the activities that you are doing. So alpha wave is something that is created during this, meditation. So what is alpha wave? Again, I'll just give you bit of a introduction to that. It is these are frequencies that your brain creates. Okay, if you are in hyperactive state, there is different waves that your brain creates, but alpha waves are related to that relaxation of the brain. Yeah. And also you are still in a wakefulness, but your brain is more relaxed. So that's what the studies have shown. When you see the EEG, the electronic picture of the brain, what it does. So these are the studies that they have done, that they see more of that alpha wave pattern. Yeah. And what ultimately it does to the physiology, again, reduction of the stress level and getting into that deeper level of relaxation. What studies have shown that it also promotes neuroplasticity. Wow. Yeah, so more cognitive function, and promotes all of that. So it does really do, lot of benefits are there by doing meditation, but I would say regular meditation will give you that effect.
Okay. So another lead question, because I'm just confused. When you do meditation, is it okay to have continuous thoughts while having that slow breathing, or you need to be completely empty brain? Or if you have to be there, how do you bring that in? Because it's very difficult.
Okay. All right. That's, again, very technical question. Very good question. Now, you don't have to control anything. Yeah. Okay. That is what people go wrong, that I have to control these thoughts. That is what the meditation does, the state of meditation does to your brain. Yeah. Yes, when you start the practice, you would have these thoughts coming in and go, right? And this is where there is these techniques that transcendental meditation a teacher would teach you how you do the meditation. So you have to get the proper training, and you have to do it regularly. That's where then your brain coherence improves. That's where your these meditative levels will improve. It's not like you do once and then you would see this effect. It's not like that. And you would still get the thoughts, but at some stage you will achieve there is no thought, and your brain is really relaxed. It's probably gone into the theta level. Yeah. So yes, initially you are going to have the thoughts. So you don't have to do a separate any effort, So this is why transcendental meditation is called effortless meditation. So getting the right training, I would say, is the key, and guidance. So again, these are, I would say, having to have too many thoughts or controlling the thoughts. You don't have to do any of this. Let your meditation technique do that.
All right. So before we finish, obviously, thank you so much, Rani, Dr. Rani, for coming here. Is there anything else you want to tell our audience before we go?
Again, I would say that to the audience, I would like to say two things. If you want to follow Ayurveda, follow your circadian rhythm. When you wake up in the morning, do breathing practices, which is pranayama practices, as well as do meditation. Transcendental meditation is one of the really good meditation form. If you do these things, you will have a really good, healthy mind, body, and soul.